What's going on, YouTube? How y'all feeling today? You see where I'm at. But anyway, let's get into this talk. Let's talk about the Ford Explorer, right? So growing up, right, I used to see. Let's jump from. So the Ford Explorer came out in 1991, right? Uh, or 1990. I could be wrong. So I used to see, let's say, the 1998 through 2011. I used to see those on the road all the time. And to be honest with you, those were my favorite body style. It was something about that body style that was athletic and it looked muscular to me, you know? I used to love the Ford Explorer growing up, the way it looked. Now we know, let's say the 2002 to 2005, those had those transmission issues, but you got to admit, that was a pretty good looking truck, you know? And besides that, you still see a lot of them on the road today. You see a lot of those on the road today. I got mad, right? And I know a lot of people got mad. When the Explorer transitioned in 2011, when it transitioned into the crossover look that they were going for, so basically it just turned into a muscle minivan. That's what it looked like. And to me, man, I just hated that style. That and the second gen Durango. That second gen Durango, the first year Acadias, first year Saturn Outlooks, first year Traverses, man, I hated those looks, man. It just looked like a buff minivan, you know what I'm saying? Oh, another one, the Pathfinder. They did the same thing to the Pathfinder. They took a body on frame SUV and then they turned it into a buff minivan, you know? Now, I can understand them from a business perspective, right? Because if you look at the numbers, right, those versions, the buff minivan versions, crossover versions, they sold hella more than the body on frame versions, the SUVs. They sold way more than those. And you know, I can understand why. Because a lot of the customers who had the Explorers, they were like moms, you know, who drove, soccer moms, you know, had large families, you know, they used to haul things and all that stuff. They actually prefer a unibody design than the body on frame because it's easier to drive. So, you know, I can't get mad at that, you know, and the numbers speak a lot. They sold way more. So Ford sold at least 5 times more of the 2011 was the new body style, right? So they sold 4 times more of that generation than the previous generation, you know? So you can't get mad. They had more space and they drove like a car, you know? So you can't get mad. But truck guys, the guys that grew up from the first 1991 Explorer, oh hell yeah, you're gonna be mad. But let's talk about the Pathfinder now, right? So the Pathfinder was kind of flipped and flopped over the years, right? So the Pathfinder started off as a body on frame from was it 89 to 95, and then it turned into a unibody, and then it turned into, let's say, from 96 to 2001 or 2, it was a unibody. And then from 2002 to 2012, it was a body on frame. And then Yeah, so around 2013 and up. Now it's a unibody. But the current generation is pretty sweet. It looks like a mixture of the, what was that, the 01, no, the 02 to 02 to 012, and it has a little bit of the 13 to, was it 21? I could be wrong with the years, but y'all get what I'm saying. I actually like that design. But like I said, the numbers don't lie. Ford and Nissan, GM, when they switched over to those platforms, they did well in sales. And let's talk about the Traverse, right? The Traverse and the Acadia and all them. When they first came out, you know, they had hella problems with the transmissions, the 3.6 engines that GM put in them. But they were still selling like a motherfucker. You know why? Because people didn't really care about the mechanical. What they really cared about is that they can get a 3-row SUV, and that motherfucker had more room than anything on the market. In spite of its reliability. And the resale value is horrible on those things. But you know what's keeping them on the road? That low resale value, and the fact that nothing on the market offers as much room as the Traverse. So you can actually get you a Traverse, let's say like a 2013 Traverse, for like 3 times less the price of a Highlander or a Pilot or anything like that, and you get more room, and you know, and you're not paying that Toyota tax or Honda tax, you know. So that's one good thing about them, you know. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. What else was I about to talk about? Oh yeah, so those newer Explorers, I gotta give it to Ford though. Those Explorer STs, them boys are hard. I like them. And they made them rear wheel drive, you know? Isn't that crazy? They made them boys rear wheel drive. And what they put out, like 400 horsepower? They're trying to compete with the Durango, you know? I ain't gonna lie, they sweet. The Explorer, it grew on me right there. Because imagine if they still had that full frame, they wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, that Explorer ST, that's a bad mug right there. Yeah, but yeah, you know, just a thought today. I really didn't want to make this video that long. Wanted to talk about the transition from the full frames to the unibody structure. But yeah, you know, you guys got a topic y'all want me to talk about, put it in the comments and we can talk about it. Peace.